What up, y'all? Happy Friday. What a crazy 24 hours. We're talking all things Bloodline and a little bit of a sprinkle of TNA coming up next.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
Woo! What up, y'all? Happy Friday. My name is TK Trinidad. Welcome to WWT Live, Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. And we are going to get all the way into it, FYI, because I really don't think I posted it. It was crazy. So I was there in Vegas. We're going to talk about all that stuff. But we have a packed house, and I'm not alone. I'm debating. Yeah, I know where we're going to start. This gentleman, he's been part of WWT, but due to time zone issues and children, he's not here often, but he's often here in spirit. A Dazzle.
Why did you come to me first?
I'm just saying.
Wow.
I get shit TK today because I'm happy.
We can do that. Today's going to be a crazy one. I couldn't miss it. So
it's going to be.
Let me make time. Let me adjust my body clock and jump in. You know what I mean?
I appreciate it. It's a Friday. You're going into the weekend.
Yeah, of course.
So
of course.
Let's do it.
Of course.
And she is, and I know this young lady has a great perspective on all things. She does our show Deep Dive, and I know she's going to be pulling in some facts that we didn't even know. So Candace is in the building as well. How you doing, Candace?
I have to agree as well. I'm doing fine. I'm enjoying this Friday, but I had to come through because it is a great time to be a wrestling fan right now. So I had to come through.
There it is. And our new co-host, and I have a feeling when she saw this from the East Coast, she was screaming her head off. I don't know. I just get that vibe. Honey's also in the building.
You know I was. You already know what time it is. It's time to get crazy, y'all. We on the road to WrestleMania. We are not playing no games.
That part.
This is what happens when you surround yourself with greatness.
That part. And then, he said a little prayer before we started because we're going to need one going to WrestleMania.
Go forward. Go forward.
Professor is in the building. Teflon G.
Oh boy, what's good, everybody? I have a funny story of what was happening while this was going on last night, but that probably can wait for whenever. It's a very interesting story that's wildly and uniquely connected to everything that happened last night. So,
I thought you were going to say like little professor was announcing it. He called it or
something. I mean, he was part of it. I was at the relaunch of Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling last night, which was the indie promotion started by Dusty Rhodes, the father of Cody Rhodes. We held it at the Nightmare Factory, so there was a lot of Cody presence there last night at the same time that this historic event was going on. So it was just a wild night all the way around. It was crazy.
All the way around. Shout out to our people in the chat. Cousin Ron usually comes halfway through, but he's the first one.
Hey, it's that kind of show today. Like, you got to be here and get your seat early.
I appreciate it. For Wednesday got a little crazy for all of us. I'm so glad we're here to talk about it on Friday. Our official producer Dylan's in the building as well as our informational officer Boza. Just it is a situation, and then special little nobodies. I'm glad I read through the comments. Read through the whole thing that you put because I was like murder trial, and then I read it.
Jury duty. Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, have you been watching us from prison? I was like,
wow. Wow.
Wow. So Teflon G, I'm gonna let you kick it off. What you want to start off with first?
Well, I mean, we have to start off with the obvious. I mean, all of the talk, of course, for almost a solid week, all things WrestleMania was trending because of what happened, strangely enough, a week ago tonight on SmackDown. So then we get to this WrestleMania kickoff for Las Vegas, which, of course, is where the Super Bowl is. They have it at the T-Mobile Arena. It is a packed house. like packed house. It's crazy, where we find out what would actually be the main event. Would Cody actually choose Seth Rollins? Would he choose Roman? Would it be Roman versus The Rock? What would actually go on? And after some, preliminaries, we got to see Bianca, we got to see Mommy and the Man, and then we got to the reason we came here for, and let's just say it got crazy. Most of us left with more questions than answers. But what we believe is the main event now is Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. There's been a flyer that's been put out. It's the first official flyer other than Bayley and Io. So we'll go with that, but we still don't know what's going on with The Rock, with the Bloodline, with Seth, with Cody. It's nuts. That is the Cliff Notes version of what happened last night.
Wow. And yeah, let me shout out WWE. So WWT was in the building. So amazing. Shout to my brother Evan T. Mack. Andreas was also out there. Shout to Big E. It had a very big fight feel. It was packed. I believe it was a smaller room in the T-Mobile Arena. Like, I feel like that wasn't the T-Mobile Arena itself. I feel like it was like a smaller room in the T-Mobile Arena, but it was all packed out. If you guys kind of check on Twitter,
there were like stadium seats. I don't think that they have multiple. Do they have multiple arenas in there?
Well, sometimes they have smaller rooms. So it looked like it was a smaller room. Like, I don't think T-Mobile, no. Yeah, it was definitely a smaller part. Or, you know how in some stadiums they kind of switch from the ice to the basketball, stuff like that. They kind of walled it off and they had that part, because there's no way that's just T-Mobile by itself. But it was packed nonetheless. And it had a big fight feel to it. And, we were sitting in the middle, so we got like all the action. And it was amazing. Like, this is the part where, like, for those of you guys who know me and watch the show often, the professor and other folks, they come with the, in 1989, this happened. I just come with like the feelings and the psychology of it all. And y'all, for you guys who don't, like, I'll put the picture up, just in case you're just new people, they don't know. I've been talking about Samoa Dynasty forever. So there's just so many things. But I just want to first, before I hand it off to you guys, I just want to, definitely shout out WWE for, allowing us to come, and that it was unforgettable, because there are so many questions, and this is the stuff that I do like, because it did leave a lot of unanswered things. And I even think with the Cody Roman thing, there's still gonna be some shenanigans that are gonna happen.
There has to be.
I digress. How did you guys feel?
Well, I'll start with one thing, which is probably not going to have anything to do with what you guys are going to talk about, just to get it out. And that is, what we saw last night is a direct benefit of WWE and the UFC being under the same banner with TKO. This was very much a UFC-like press conference, the kind of press conference where you invite the whole world, the public shows up, and there's going to be the kinds of shenanigans that really make the news. That's the feeling this whole thing had from start to finish. And that's when I knew, okay, we're finally starting to see that TKO influence on the WWE. And while everybody was looking for the UFC crossover people, no, it was going to be in production and this kind of kickoff and this kind of thing, which, again, it's brilliant, because obviously WrestleMania is not at Vegas. You do it during Super Bowl week where you've got a ton of people there. It was just brilliantly done from start to finish. The way they captured people coming in, all the things. I'm strictly talking from production. Absolutely brilliant. Now we can get to the other stuff.
What y'all have to say?
Whoever wants to go first, I don't know. I don't care.
Ladies first. Go for it.
Ladies first.
Candice, you go first.
Y'all sure about that? Because I got some stuff to say.
Let's get into it. Let's just get it. Let's do it.
Let's just start off with one of the things that I absolutely loved as someone that was a lifelong, or it seems like it was most of my life, being a fan of The Rock, is how I love that you pointed this out, Professor, is that that influence that we see from the UFC, and you've heard a lot of MMA fighters bring this up, that straight up attitude era of WWE, and you're seeing that come back, and you can see the impact that that makes with feeling like with these type of big time matches that WWE is always 10 steps ahead of what the fans even know they would want, and having and really drawing from things that you can tell that these wrestlers are feeling. And I love how and you've seen this throughout the evolution of The Rock's career, is that whenever the fans seem like they might be turning on him, he completely absorbs that and he lives in it, and he lets the crowd feel that. And that moment when The Rock came out and he's toying with them, asking them, whoa, do you really feel like the Rock and Roman match would be one of the best matches in WrestleMania? And you can feel the hate that he was getting from the Cody Rhodes fans, and how he played on that and even created a hashtag at the same time to really toy with them. I mean, that's just Rock 101. And I love that he went back to, he fed off of that and showed that he can thrive in that environment because there's no fear there. And I really, I think a lot of people were commenting on this. I liked it towards the end. The beginning, it made no sense to me why Seth Rollins was standing there, because it did not help to take away the issue that Seth's title is almost being treated as a B-list championship going into WrestleMania. So I did not like it. Was to me, it was disrespectful to have Seth there, where already Roman and Rock are playing on the fact that Cody is a non-factor, that now it's just all about them, but you have Seth standing there already when Seth made it clear that he wanted Cody to challenge him, as if he was a pick-me guy. On Raw, it did not make sense. It just helped to present that issue even more, and I think that was a disservice to Seth Rollins. And I love how they're playing on the fact, and you even kind of saw that in the Rock show, Young Rock, where this, to be honest, their family is the only ones that can make a claim, and he was right about this, that they're the only ones that are from derived from royalty. This is a Samoan royal family. There's no lie there. So it's almost like they're making it clear, and I love the arrogance that The Rock had there, where it's almost like, do you want to see our family actually build on who's actually at the head, or do you want to see someone whose father was bragging about being a plumber's son? Or do you want to see us actually settle this? And the arrogance there was just so 90s Rock, where it's like, I'm here, I don't care what you had planned. And I love that he made this statement before he showed the tree, where he said, you don't have to like what's going on, but you have to respect it. And obviously he made that clear when Cody came out. And I love the type of gumption and just a very Rhodes way of having that fortitude for Cody to come out and not let Roman and Rock have this moment where they're pretty much having a love fest and proclaiming that this is going to be something where we have a match, but at the end of the day, we're still family. And he came out and called out the BS. The only flaw that I saw with that was that Cody did say on SmackDown that he was not going to fight Cody at WrestleMania, fight Roman at WrestleMania. That was the only flaw, but obviously that can be ignored. But I just loved it, and I loved when Seth came in after Rock hit Cody and made it clear, because I feel like there's so much truth to how Seth feels when he said, just because you are on the board for TKO does not mean you can do whatever you want. And I feel like there has to be some interaction with a lot of the people that really made WWE over the past few years to not feel like they always have to take a backseat for WrestleMania. Because Rock is always going to be money whenever he comes back. But there is some truth to it that for a lot of years, a lot of champs that have really been busting their butts to make WWE entertaining for an entire year usually gets put to the wayside. And even CM Punk still has that bitterness lingering as he was talking about The Rock when he was right behind him, which I thought was awesome. So yeah, that was just an amazing moment.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of that quote, Candace, about The Rock saying you don't have to like it, but you will respect it. It just goes to show you what kind of heat this man really can take, because not for nothing, it also gave me shades of 2000s Rock when he was Hollywood Rock and he was doing all his little solo singing skits and he was just talking stuff. Now, last night, I was screaming at my TV. I'm screaming, talking to them like, what are you doing? What's happening? What am I watching? It gave me all kinds of emotions, which I enjoyed thoroughly. And the one thing it really brought me back to was being at home on a Monday night and you're going through TNT and USA, right? and the minute you see those shades, those pork chop sideburns, that eyebrow, and that microphone, you're not switching your channel. Now, granted, he doesn't have those pork chop sideburns and that hair no more, but he looks more like a legend than he's ever looked ever. Because we knew he was always going to be. He's somebody's Mount Rushmore, no matter what. He's on somebody's Mount Rushmore, if not everybody's, because you cannot not mention a superstar without mentioning Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. But it brought me back to the moments where I did not want to change that channel, and I couldn't. I mean, obviously, I wasn't going to change the channel because that's why I watched it. But just to be able to lock in on The Rock and see him do his thing again, as an Attitude Era kid and born in late 80s, early 90s, it just brought me to a whole nother level, because it's just like, wait a minute, he turned into another Rock. He's leveled up in Hollywood Rock mode, and it's like he went Super Saiyan. So now this is a Rock on a level where he's also the board of directors Rock, and I wonder if that could come into play, being that he taught his stuff to Triple H towards the end. Now that they're working together technically, and we all know that. So is there going to be showdowns where we know, granted, Triple H, Uncle Hunter cannot get involved in the ring, we know that, but more TV time and interaction and something to along the lines of where you have a team Hunter versus team Rock or something like that, where they're backing up Cody and Roman. Now, as far as Seth, I do agree with the point where it kind of makes Seth look like the pick-me guy, because that's exactly how he's been looking for the last few weeks. And it's kind of upsetting to me, because Seth is Mr. Monday Night, and he's there. He's the workhorse, and we know that, and he's there every week. But it also leaves room to wonder, could there be room for something else here? Because you saw so many different kinds of face-offs last night in that last part. You saw Roman. You saw once The Rock and Cody, they panned on The Rock and Cody, and The Rock turned around and was like, hold up, you're talking about his family, you're talking about me and my family. You're talking about his blood, you're talking about my blood. And granted, we all know with certain family, that's how it is. You don't mess with anybody's family unless I mess with my family. Only I could do that. That face-off left me really curious. Because if The Rock is planning to get in ring shape, will he fight Cody, or will he fight Seth? Will he still fight Roman in the long run to prove who the real head of the table is? But I understand that Cody and Roman is locked and we have a flyer already, but who knows where this is gonna still go? We still have 50 plus days, and we still have Elimination Chamber. So where do we go from there? Some people, I've seen a lot of speculation, people saying tag team. I've seen fatal 4-way. I've seen a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm just like, the possibilities are completely endless. So shout outs to Nick Khan and Hunter and all of them for putting this kind of stuff together to make WWE so must see, and doing it in a smart way where they knew it was in Vegas and they knew the Super Bowl was happening. So many statements were made last night. I just can't wait to see what happens tonight. I just can't wait to see what happens tonight because I heard I heard Cody's gonna be there. I heard Hunter's gonna be addressing tonight. I can't wait to see it. I'm just here. Let me get my popcorn.
A Dazzle's busting at the seams. What you got, A Dazzle?
Listen, let me first say this. We all got worked, or should I say specifically, the Cody crybabies all got worked these last week. Straight up. If anyone thinks that all of this has happened because of the reaction from when The Rock first came and instructed Cody and all the rest of it, you're wrong. This was in the pipeline from day one. They know what they're doing. They knew what they were going to do. Here's a question. I won't delve dwell on it too much. But here's a question. And I know The Rock says he's getting in ring ready, but there could be a possibility that Rock doesn't even do anything at Mania. He's probably jumped in to do all of this just to hype WrestleMania. It's a possibility. True. It's a strong possibility. Even in saying that, The Rock versus Roman doesn't have to happen this year. It can happen any year. It will still get the same reaction or the reaction it needs to be in terms of, the media attention and all that kind of thing. But him just being there is enough to get even more bums on seats and the money coming in. Even from what Gerard was saying about, the whole TKO influence and the UFC kind of, similarities and stuff like that. Like, this whole thing has been done to perfection, and I don't think it's over anytime soon. Even with in terms of like just the lead up to WrestleMania, like the whole thing is going to be crazy. To jump on this whole thing of Seth being there again, for me, this was done perfectly because I think Seth was there as, to use the hashtag again, a Cody crybaby. I think he was there to really kind of emphasize that whole thing as well. Yes, he's been, doing his whole thing of trying to persuade Cody to face him and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, everybody knows, and so does he, that his championship is the B championship. And there's nothing wrong with that. He's the workhorse. He's got the respect that Roman doesn't have in that sense. So for him to be there with the reactions that he gave and the stuff that he said, and the hate that he was given towards The Rock and the whole talk of being on the board and all the rest of it. A friend of mine sent me a voice note in the morning. Obviously, we see things in the morning and not live because we're probably sleeping. But he sent me a voice note in the morning, and he was like, "Imagine this! Like this is The Rock. Once we had Hollywood Rock, we had corporate Rock. Now we've got corporate Hollywood Rock. Like this is crazy." This is crazy to me. Exactly, like as we've all said, like the possibilities are endless. And in terms of kind of trying to work out or trying to predict what could happen at Mania, there's still space for Roman doing 2 nights. It may end up being Cody doing 2 nights, facing The Rock on night 1, facing Roman Reigns on the second night. Who knows?
Or Seth.
Or possibly.
And
but at the same time,
2 belts.
Oh, imagine. But I asked the question on our show on Tuesday, obviously before all of this happened and before Cody actually, chose Roman to face at WrestleMania. I was asking the question, so if Cody's looking to face Seth, and we already kind of had an idea that Rock was going to face Roman, is there a men's elimination chamber match? Now we know that there will be. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So he answers that question. But there's still so many possibilities. Like, I'm here for it. I think SmackDown might even break records tonight because people are going to be like, what's going on next? This is it's perfect. It's literally perfect. And as I said at the start, like, they knew what they were doing from 2 or 3 weeks ago. And we all kind of fell in, or should I say the Cody crybabies, fell into the trap. It's as simple as
quiet.
That. Simple as that.
Super quiet.
Yeah, of course. It's amazing.
Beautiful.
I want to get to. I believe you're new to the room. So Juan Bad Day, aka Drunk Uncle. I love the name. So he says Rock beats Seth. Cody beats Rock. Beats Roman. Rock becomes the head of the table by proxy, and Trips resigns like crap from a comeback. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. I don't know if you're going to get to it, Professor. But one thing that and for y'all who know me, I don't really lose my ish for a lot of things. But one thing I did pop for was Trin. Y'all know my love for Trin. Y'all know my you know my love for the Samoan dynasty before I used them in Samoan dynasty. And like, don't at me. I mean, there's tape. So, but when I saw that family tree, I grabbed Evan's, and shout out to Evan. Evan's been working out, by the way. I grabbed Evan's arm, and I was like, and you know what? I took a picture first. I took a picture of Trinity's name first before I even took a picture of the whole. Then I thought, oh man, I should take a picture of the family tree. Because there have been so many people, and I get why you say that, but if you look at the family tree and how certain people are included and all this other stuff, like I get why some people may say that she's not, but she's been married to this man for what, 10 plus years? Like,
oh yeah, please. Like, that's like to even question that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So, but there was a pop for that tree. There was pops for that tree.
Can I point out something that made me pop about the tree?
Air out of me.
Because there was something amazing that I saw on the tree was Jacob Fatu's name. Now,
I was going to say the same thing.
It could just be, yes, they just want to say that he's a part of the family. But in my mind, it's not just there because of that. Okay, it's got to be something that's going to happen with that name being there. Yeah. So,
I did miss a few people. So, you know, but again, I mean, I feel like if they were to include everybody, then like there's not enough space. So,
well, here's a random
beautifully done though.
Here's a random interesting thing that I saw. Solo Sikoa's middle name is Yokozuna.
Yes.
I didn't notice that.
A lot of them have Joseph and Sefa, which I think is like Solo. It's like a mixture of a lot of their names that they put together. And Yokozuna was in Solo. I did notice that too, and I was like, oh my god, I love my heart. Like I love that. And seeing Umaga's name and Rosie.
Yeah, it was so good. Professor, you want to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say, for one, it's the most expansive view of the Bloodline family tree we've ever seen.
Yes.
We have never seen a view of that tree that detailed ever before. And for the people who are, wondering about Trinity and things like that, well, remember, a certain Rocky Johnson got in by marriage as well. Right. So we've got several people who are in by marriage, and let's not dilute being in a family by marriage. You don't have aunts and uncles. Okay, you get what I'm saying. So with that being said, there are a lot of pretty much all the names are there. The Jacob Fatu thing is interesting because, of course, his time with MLW is up, which means and the tree was up only long enough for you to kind of start getting looks, but you couldn't look at everything because it was too big, which means they could easily pull anybody from that tree at some point. So what was so amazing about last night is that they said so much in that short period of time. I have never seen a press conference from the WWE do so much to impact a story in the history of this company. I've never seen it happen before. It was, from obviously start to finish, from having CM Punk on the panel, right?
Chaos.
Which you knew it was going to be chaos.
Chaos.
You had Big E there, who mentioned some pretty interesting things himself. And then it was the chaos. It was The Rock in a way we've never seen him. And I say a way we've never seen him. We've seen heel Rock. We haven't seen cuss you out Rock. That's a different Rock. That's a different Rock. And the other thing that I thought was interesting was you can't get mad at me for me standing up for my family when you disrespect my family right in front of me.
Exactly.
Rock had to do that. If Rock did not stand up for his family, we'd be asking a lot of questions about The Rock at this point. But But to me, there's also the interesting visual. All of this time when you've been talking about the bloodline, Roman Reigns was physically and emotionally the biggest man on campus.
Mhm.
Last night, he was not.
Mhm.
Last night, it was like Big Brother showed up. And he just kind of, he didn't have a whole lot to say once Rock came out, once everything popped off. He didn't have much to say. And there was Rock with those massive shoulders walking and just, I mean, taking it to Triple H.
Literally,
And then
Rock.
literally, right? And then he cusses out Triple H. And afterwards, you know, Roman is like, yeah. Wait, all this time you've had these fire promos on the way back, and you're like, yeah, what he said. That was what Roman Reigns was reduced to last night. So to me, I sit back and I think there are a lot of stories to be told. All this time during the bloodline, people have done the dirty work for Roman, but Roman has been able to fully clean up his own messes. Here he hasn't been able to. And so at some point, when you start thinking about the stories that are being told, a lot happened. Obviously, the people who wanted Cody versus Roman think they're getting Cody versus Roman. I don't know if we're allegedly. What did I say that deserves an allegedly? I said think.
I agree with you. I think we're all in this, and I think WWE loves it. And whoever, I mean, obviously Triple H is part of it. I'm sure The Rock and all this other stuff. But whoever creatively is thinking of this, they love the fact that they're swerving us, and I love the fact that they're swerving us. That you really don't know what's going to happen at WrestleMania, and that's what makes it even more exciting. Like you don't know. Like when I think of it, like say they unite like the Civil War. Like I'm thinking one of those things like the Marvel or DC, I don't know, where they have two sides against each other, where it's just like the bloodline versus everybody. That should be a shirt, by the way. The bloodline versus everybody, and you just have everybody in the bloodline just standing there. Like, can you imagine the visual? Just
beautiful cinema,
where they just all come out and they just stand there. The aunts, the uncles, the children, all the ones that are not even wrestling, they just stand there.
Like, what are you saying? What are you saying? What are you saying? What are you saying?
Can you bring up this Boza comment real quick? Can you bring up this comment real quick?
I have 3 points to make.
This one right here.
Comment real quick.
This is a nice distraction to the Vince mess.
But
wait.
But that's not the point.
Let me be. I want to be extremely clear about this. It is not. First of all, Vince is no longer with the company.
Right. It's not even a fact.
Period. Okay. It is not, and it was never the WWE's job, even when Vince was with the company, to present the Vince mess on camera as the primary story. That was never their job. So to call it a distraction from the Vince mess is kind of demeaning to what's actually happening to us. To me, I think it's amazing that they are able to stay on course and keep everybody focused with what's at hand. This is the biggest time of the year for the WWE. It's WrestleMania season.
Yeah.
We need not be focused on anything else. After all, this is out of their hands. This is in the Fed's hands right now. So I'm not sure what the expectation is for WWE to keep addressing something for somebody who no longer works in their company and it's not in their hands anymore.
Not affiliated with it.
And to be honest, I think it was fully addressed by Triple H in one statement last night. And that statement was, this is a brand new WWE. An extremely loaded statement that I think said a lot. So I think for us as fans, and here's the other thing. Fans, we can say they get distracted, but fans know what they're invested in. And it became very clear over this last week that a lot of people are very invested in what the main event of WrestleMania is going to be. So I also think about what The Rock said, again, in that interview with Pat McAfee several months ago, when he said, we wanted to do so. He said, I'm not coming back unless we can do something that has never been done before.
Right.
Yeah,
So
and then
what's already happened is there, but we're not close to done yet.
yeah.
No,
So
no,
just get
no,
ready.
no.
Also,
They,
to
he,
piggyback,
Mm.
Bosa, nothing to be sorry about.
No, nothing to be sorry about.
You know how you've been you've been rocking with me for God, so I thank you for that. Nothing to be sorry about, but that's with the thing with Vince too. Just like you were saying, it's in the Fed's hands, and
Right.
you know, oftentimes with social media, we have the court of public opinion.
Right.
The time to get upset is if, given all the facts, we see everything that happens, and he doesn't serve or he doesn't get just due. That's where now we come and we say, okay, X, Y, and Z. But we're not lawyers, we're not politicians. This is the time where like you should be voting for your local, like the local, like that's a whole thing. Like all those things, that's what you should be doing if you truly are invested. But you being a keyboard warrior talking about Vince is not going to move the needle or help Vince, or you know, not help Vince. So however, the timing of it all was great. You couldn't plan like if The Rock decided, nah, not this year, and the time like this has been in the plans for a long time. Like you think about Colorado, you think about all this has been in the plans for a long time. So the timing of everything, I think you hinted at it too, I think last week, Professor, where you know the deal with Netflix went through, all this other stuff. I'm pretty sure, because let's be clear, courts are slow as F.
Yes.
So all that stuff, and obviously we had the allegations that came recently, but all the stuff that's against Vince has been in the court system for a hot minute. So they also knew that this was coming down the pipeline, especially when you're big ticket clients, like people talk. So it's not like, oh shoot, I had no idea that there's a lawsuit against me.
And remember, to that point, remember, usually the public is the last to find out. The company is known, and I also think that there was. I go back to that week when the announcement was made about the Netflix deal. That announcement was made on a Tuesday, as was the announcement about The Rock getting that seat on TKO and then getting the rights to his own. They sandwiched that bad boy. They gave us a whole bunch. And then literally 2 days later, here comes the Vince piece. And from there, TKO made their decisions, to which I say, and I'm going to say this very carefully because I'm not supposed to be talking about this, but I will say this. I think TKO did the business thing. They said, okay, Vince is here to do one thing, and that is to get these media rights for all these places. Once we get this media rights stuff done, then we can go ahead and handle the rest of this stuff. That's exactly what's happening. And WWE and TKO as an organization are moving forward, which is why, and think about this, the pressure has to be on this whole new regime right now to make this WrestleMania the biggest WrestleMania that's ever happened. Because now it's your first WrestleMania period without Vince McMahon. We thought last year was going to be the first one, but it wasn't because he was still around. He had come back. This is going to be the first one. So think about it. 40 years.
And it's the 40th one.
And it's the 40th one. They are, I'm telling you, the bets are, and now I'm starting to wonder, because a lot of people have been made, and we've made reference here to the Attitude Era, and we saw the more edgy things that were being said last night. I'm starting to wonder now if the move and push towards Netflix will create possibly a more edgy product for the WWE. I don't know that it'll ever get to where the Attitude Era was, but I think it can be edgy, more edgy, because I mean, right now, the rest of the world tends to be a bit more edgy. So we'll see. I don't know, but last night could have been an indicator.
Wait, are you trying to tell me, Professor? I was telling Sarah about this. Shout out to Sarah the Rebel. I was telling her how you heard Pound Town for the first time and you lost your ish. And you said the rest of the world is more edgy than America?
No. I'm saying the rest of the world is more edgy than no. It's more edgy than what WWE is currently presenting. Okay. That's what I'm saying. So for that, like for instance, we know, like if you're watching, this shocked me at least a year or so ago on cable channels. for instance, after a certain time, like after 9 or 10 o'clock, there are certain words that they used to not be able to say that they say freely, that they still don't fly with in WWE land. So I think that kind of thing in terms of being a bit more edgy. That's what I'm referencing.
Yeah. Somebody needs to find that clip of Professor listening to Pound Town by Sexy Red, because
let's not.
Oh my goodness.
That's a memory I just that was, you know what that was like? That was like, I'm usually a water drinker. I drink a lot of water. I usually don't drink any other thing. So when you drink soda after not having had soda for a very long time, that was Pound Town.
All right.
So I just wanted to say 2 things. Shout outs to the wonderful Paul Heyman, because did anybody see him in the background the whole time? Somebody give this man an Oscar or something. Because as soon as Rock laid the smack it down literally on Cody, the reaction to it, and then when the tree came up and he like immediately went in like prayer mode with the lay and the hip, I'm just like, you know what, Paul, go ahead, you sell that. You sell that. Go ahead, give it to me. Give me more. So shout outs that there. I wanted to piggyback off of what you said, Professor, because I was talking about this with a few friends earlier about Roman not looking like the big man on campus. That was made very, very clear. I don't know if people really, really caught it, but I know we caught it. The character arc for Roman Reigns has definitely shifted a tad bit, to the point where we've never, for the last 2 years, the last 3 years,
almost 4.
I can't believe I'm saying that, but for almost the last 3 years, our tribal chief, because I am also a very big advocate with the Samoans for years, my father and I, but for the last 3 years, we've seen this man not answer to anyone. Not answer to anyone, not even Paul Heyman, because he sunned Paul Heyman when Paul Heyman didn't act right and it almost switched up and went with the other big guy who's no longer with us for that brief moment. Yes. So, with that being said, now we have he never pulled that card when he went at Kevin Owens. He never pulled that card when he was at Drew McIntyre, Sami Zayn, all these other guys that he's faced. That every single person down the line, he hasn't had to answer for anybody. He's in charge. Cena, all of them. The Rock comes in. I just have one question. How long before Roman snaps and realizes that he isn't the big man on campus? And then the real bloodline implosion happens by, say, SummerSlam. I don't know. Or later on Survivor Series. I don't know. But there's a lot of open-ended things that happened from last night where I just can't wait for 8 o'clock to get here. It can't get here fast enough, because I'm going to be live on Instagram and talking my ish and just, let's go.
Listen, that story started yesterday. That same story started yesterday. Straight up.
Yeah.
No, I disagree. We are all adults, right? We are all adults here. We all have parents, right? As adults with adult parents, and I also preface this: if you're respectful of your parents, when you are in the room with your parents, you can be an adult, paying your bills, paying the taxes. You have kids of your own. There's a moment where if your parent is like, look, I don't really care how old you are the child, and there's a voice that they hit, that parent voice where you automatically like just look, I'm not going to fight you. Clearly you just regress. Like with my mom and I, there's moments where I literally still feel like a teenager. Just how she talks. She doesn't talk to me like in a bad way, but it's like her passion towards protecting her child no matter what.
Right.
There's the respect that I have for her no matter what. Like even the last, couple conversations I had with my dad said my name. My dad said my full name. And I was
not good.
I was like, all right, you know what? Like, because I was literally just advocating for him, and I did not see what he was. I thought what he was doing was wrong, and he just said my name. I was like, you know what? So that goes beyond, like, even beyond that, even beyond WWE. Like, That's just what it is.
Mhm.
It's not like they were twins. It's not like and it's almost even with the Usos and Roman. There's
Yeah.
if you look at certain things in the dynamic, if you look at where their pictures, how where they are in the pictures, if you go back, because they only show like 3 pictures, and the setup of their pictures, the family dynamic this is the stuff that I love. This is the psychology about it that I love, because even though it's storyline, they're riffing off of this is family dynamic.
Mhm.
My brother and I, he's my younger brother, but he is 6'4". When I was a teenager, I thought I was, still big dog. I pushed this boy, he pushed me back. I realized I no longer can push this man anymore. I'm not messing with him. He is now stronger than me. I am no longer going to test it. Period. And that's our family dynamic. So this is like the beautiful thing about the Samoan dynasty or the bloodline now with The Rock coming in, because now you're going to see how he's going to interact with everybody else. And then you're also going to see how he interacts with Triple H and everybody else that he's had dealings with in the past. Like this is and then his daughter. We forget.
There's so much story. So much stories within a story within a story within a freaking story, and then there's Cody's story, and then there's Roman's story. It's so much. It's
Do we think that something might come out of Cody's comments when he said that everyone from the bloodline was using Roman as a meal ticket and that they were latchkeys? Because remember, Jay and Cody have been developing this relationship over the past year. So will we see something come out of Jay from him hearing that? There could be something there, possibly.
I mean,
Cody,
we've always
Cody
kind
was
of
the one who brought his name up.
True. I think we've always kind of been waiting as well for Jay versus Jimmy. So this is a quite an easy way to almost get that started as well. So if Jay comes out to help Cody in some way, and then Jimmy comes in, we get that. You know what I mean? So
the brother versus brother. I've been waiting for this one. I've been waiting since August for this one.
Yeah.
I need it. A blood feud. Give it to me.
WrestleMania match. Definitely. It needs to be a WrestleMania match.
And Rashiki has to Rashiki has to appear. Like it's just he has 3 sons there. Sorry, my bad. Sorry. My bad.
There's a lot of names
my excitement got the best of me. He has 3 sons. Like, come on, son. Like you have
the twins and Solo.
Has to.
Like
here's what's so funny. It's been a long time since WWE has had enough people to pull on the family heartstrings. I mean, this takes me back to the Hart family situation. Whether it was Bret Hart and the Bulldog, or the issues between Bret and Owen, or when they were feuding and Bret's mom and dad were trying to get them to straighten up and fly right, and then you had the wives involved and all the things. This is gonna hit on a much different level. Oh, they're getting you for that one. I said I'm gonna let her have it. I know what I'm gonna let her have it.
I knew what she meant. I didn't want to be that person, but I knew.
I appreciate you. This is what happens. This is what happens, honey. Professor just lets me drown sometimes because
no, I don't want to be that guy.
The excitement got to me, but y'all know what I'm saying though.
We know exactly what you meant, girl. We know what you meant. We know what you meant.
So,
we know what you meant.
So the thing about this family dynamic, which I think is going to be so powerful, is we all understand that now we're not looking at perfect families, and nobody's trying to pretend to be perfect families. But you've got wild dynamics here. You've got husbands and wives and brothers and cousins and fathers and grandfathers and daughters. Like you've got elements to this that the Hart family didn't have. We didn't have it. So this is what's going to make, and I think that's what's made the whole bloodline story so powerful. Watching the battle with Jay and Jimmy in their head, like, okay, are we going to keep taking this from Roman or not? Like, what do we do? Because we can all see ourselves somewhere in that story, and any story that you can tell where you can see yourself is a story. That's what made Austin McMahon so important, because we all saw ourselves as, hey, we've been held down by our boss, and we finally can fight back. Like, whenever you can see yourself in a story, you're in it. It's why we like Daniel Bryan. It's why we like Kofi Kingston. And here's the crazy part. For everybody who said that the Bloodline story had just kind of fallen apart, nobody was paying attention to it, in 1 week's time.
Boy, were you wrong.
Wow.
It's trending.
This is all we're talking about.
We're trending.
It's crazy, man. It's
Get
crazy.
with the program.
Exactly. It's crazy. And there's still more that can happen outside of everything that is happening. You know what I mean? We mentioned Jacob Fatu, we mentioned Trinity, we've mentioned Rikishi, and all these other people that could easily, in some way, be a part of this or something else.
Name was mentioned in there too.
Yeah. You still got Nia Jax on the sidelines. You still got Ava as well on NXT. Like, there's so much more that can happen in the future. Whether it happens in between, now and WrestleMania, it doesn't really matter. It can happen later on. It's nonstop, literally.
And you already had Gunther kind of like poke the needle at Jay. Yep. Talking about, I'll take you back to the good old days where we couldn't even tell you guys apart.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because when he said that, it took me back, and I was like, you know what? At one point, we really couldn't tell them apart. I was like, holy shit.
Right.
Oh my God.
Right.
Jay ended up always being my favorite from the jump, even if I couldn't tell them apart. Because Jay, I was like, I always say it every time it comes out. I always knew he was my favorite Uso. Always. And he's the main event. And that's gonna be bananas, because when Jimmy and them get about, like, Lord knows, man, they know. You guys are you guys are
drunk uncle good. Saying, I mean, we wouldn't be talking about the Bloodline if it wasn't for Cody.
That's not true.
Not really true.
It's because of The Rock.
It's directly because of The Rock.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Who is part of the Bloodline, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah. Of course.
All right. Well,
goodness.
I mean, we can talk about this so much more. Is there anything else that we want to touch on from the press conference, or just in general, news-wise?
There are probably two other things we can hop on really quick, which are pretty big from other companies. So I guess we'll start with this one, because we've had an affinity here in WWT land for a certain boss who, well, AEW made an announcement Wednesday night, and you know how it is when the other TK says, I've got a big announcement. We all kind of go, okay, yeah. This big announcement was that they are going to be hosting an episode of Dynamite in Boston on March the 13th. They're calling it AEW Big Business. Oh, is that a Cody person? Okay, I'm not gonna do that. Big Business, Tony Khan. And the kicker here is that this Big Business show is going to happen in Boston. That's a commercial that says in Boston. Okay. It's going to happen in Boston. But then there were these little things that they were doing almost slightly subliminally, but not. One of them said that it was going to be in Boston, but it was BO $TOM, hinting that it was going to be the boss. So it seems to be clear between the name Big Business and Boston that we could finally have our official sighting and possible signing of Mercedes Moné in AEW. Again, March the 13th. They have not at all named anything on the card. Think about it. It'll be about a week after Revolution. So no telling what will happen for the world title at that point or whatever. But it seems as though the focus will be on potentially Mercedes Moné. So there's that. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Oh man, I forgot to download that video graphic.
You've said it all. To be honest. It's like we know what's happening now. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just going to be interesting to see how it's just going to be interesting to see how they pull it off. What it all means when she does eventually come out or whatever it is. Is it a signing? Is she just facing someone? Like, how is it going to work? So I guess it's just waiting until that day. And
I will say, for the sake of who she is and what we know she can do, I hope it works out for her. I really do, because I love to see a boss succeed. You know, like, you love to see it, and she's put on memorable moments. So, shout outs. Let's see what you got.
I do want to ask one question connected to this. Do you think that them announcing this event and dropping all of the hints and all of the things, do you think that's a good thing for the anticipation of Mercedes Moné showing up? Or is it better for it to have been a surprise like the way Sting showed up a couple of years back? Which do you think is the better way to go?
I'm always for a surprise. I mean, we're in this in particular with wrestling. Well, I mean, I think it's sports in general, but because wrestling has that, real life versus fiction kind of all together, that, not talking about Mercedes for the better part of 2 years now. And now, for the last since December, saying she's going to end up here and she's going to go here and and like, and we're part of it too. We've had multiple discussions about this. I would have rather us not report on it. And I mean us, like, WWE doesn't report like breaking news, but the folks who do not report on it, because it takes away the element of surprise and what you love about wrestling. Like, for instance, if you haven't had the privilege of watching like a live TV show in person, you now see that it's multi-cameras. You now see the set. You now see the behind the scenes, all this stuff. And for me, I can never watch TV the same again. The magic is gone, because I know, okay, well, they panned to this person. They did this, because I did background work for several years as well. So you see all these elements. So I can't watch TV the same. So when you kind of announce, okay, well, she signed it, now you're kind of ready for it, opposed to you're watching AEW and she here. It's kind of like what they did almost. I mean, there's a lot of rumors for Ronda, but they kind of kept it under wraps, and they snuck her in under a blanket, and they did everything in their power. So I think we can all agree, or we all kind of know why the fake TK and AEW kind of leaked it like that, because of everything that's going on. Like it's WWE right now is it's just like name whatever rapper, they keep on bringing the hits.
Yeah.
Diddy in the 90s, Bad Boy in the 90s.
We have another hit. Oh, then we doing this. Then we do then we're
Buster
doing this.
in the 90s.
Like they keep bringing the hits, and if you keep trying to follow suit with that, it gets exhausting. So you're trying to. It's just like, this is where the TNA of it all comes. Like, just be in your own lane and be the best company that you can for your fans, because there is a distinct difference between, for people who don't watch it, who don't watch all the brands, for people who just watch what they like, there is a very distinct difference between the AEW fans and WWE fans.
Yeah,
and if you don't believe me, just go to the shows. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna elaborate, but just go to the shows. So, it's I'm for Mercedes getting her money. Y'all know that I'm a fan of Mercedes. I really hope, and we talked about this the thing. It's just kind of like, just do right by them.
For me to answer your question, Gerard, for me, there's space for both. I much prefer a surprise, like we had with Cody, like we had with the Hardys when they came back to WWE at WrestleMania. Stuff like that. Like when AJ Styles turned up at Royal Rumble, that kind of stuff. Like, I'm all for a surprise. But in the same way TK just said, like, AEW, in a sense, especially in the last 2 or 3 weeks, have kind of almost felt the need to play catch up. It makes sense for them to do it like this, because it means that people will come to the show, as opposed to people then trying to find the clip on social media moments after the moment happens. And at the same time, we're in this space, this whole social media space, where we find out everything before it happens anyway. So sometimes you have to just give it and be like, you know what, let me just give them some crumbs, and then we'll do the big thing. So if it was me, I wouldn't have done it like that, but it makes sense why they've done it. And I think it still works. It's still going to work for them. Everyone's going to tune in on that night to wait until Mercedes comes out. So, obviously they've done it for a reason.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And as I was thinking about it, we are, my Lord, a solid month away from that. So there's a lot of promoting that they're still going to be doing. They've got Revolution coming up. and the like. So that'll be interesting. Two more quick things. Since we mentioned passionate fans, well, no, I'll end with that. You mentioned TNA. So let's talk a little bit about this massive news that came from TNA. TNA's had such a huge year already. So the shock and awe of it, to find out, I believe it was Thursday or one of these days this week, Wednesday, I think maybe, that Scott D'Amore, who has been the president of TNA for the last few years, was fired from his position, which has just really been pretty crazy, to say the least. There's still a lot of talk in terms of why this happened, and I don't have anything confirmed to say, so I don't want to start throwing any conjecture out there. I can say that it seemed as though the roster found out via a Zoom call, as the rest of the world found out, and they were not happy. And you can understand why. I mean, here's a guy who literally bled the words TNA, or the letters TNA. He was all the way for it. The passion that he had, I mean, you could see it would bring him to tears, and the relationships that he created with the roster. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what story does come out about Scott D'Amore, this firing, where he goes from here, what happens to TNA. Because if you watched TNA last night, you didn't notice really any change, because that show had already been recorded. And I thought, by the way they handled Trinity being on there was pretty brilliant as well. But I think it's this next set of tapings that we're going to see that will be interesting. They've got a big pay-per-view coming up a week from Saturday, or Friday, rather, a week from Friday. Sacrifice, I believe, is the name of it. And that will be interesting, because we'll certainly see that event under this new regime. What, if any, changes will be made, we don't know. But that is a crazy story in light of the meteoric rise of TNA in 2024. All right. The last story. If you watched NXT, you will notice we talk about passionate fans. As passionate as people have been about Cody Rhodes, following the end of NXT Vengeance Day, people were equally passionate about one Carmelo Hayes. So after Carmelo Hayes turned on Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes was the start of this week of NXT. There have been some moments on NXT where, if you watch it live, they've had to bleep out certain words that were said by the crowd, because, it was kind of an in awe kind of moment. So they had an accompanying chant. But they had a chant this time that started the show that is by no means part of WWE standards and practices. And apparently they chanted this so much that once they finally went to break, the producers actually told the crowd, hey, listen, what you're saying is too obscene. And if you keep chanting it, we're going to pull you guys out of here. So when Carmelo showed back up, they didn't quite chant those obscenities, but it's amazing. Again, the story here is just how passionate WWE fans are. And it's not just around the bloodline, which to me is very exciting, because, again, it speaks to the health of the business. But amazing. Carmelo Hayes did a 180 and immediately became the most hated thing in all of NXT.
I love NXT where it is now, and I think I said this last week as well, as far as how fluid it is, because now you can legitimately be a fan of this person and see their whole career throughout, when they go to the main roster or if they come back down to NXT, all the things. And I think that, as a wrestling fan, makes it even more like, okay, I really want to see what's happening, because, again, there's essentially watching all wrestling content is like almost like having a full-time, not almost, it's like having a full-time job. So you have to pick and choose personally. If you have a life, you have to pick and choose what you're going to watch and how you're going to watch it. So it's just kind of like being able to, it's the feeling that I have, when I first saw Bianca Belair at the CrossFit. I was like, yo, this chick, and to have the privilege to watch her career, like, I low-key feel like I have a vested part. Like, I knew her before everybody else knew her. And I feel like that's the same thing with NXT, where you're seeing the pipeline. You're seeing college students. You're seeing people that you might have seen from the indies, and you're seeing that progression, and you're seeing the art and the character development and all that stuff. And seeing that now, it's just kind of like, how can you not, root for your favorite wrestler? It's a really beautiful thing that's happening with WWE. I don't want to say they're finally getting it right, but everybody's now on the same page, which is good to see.
Dylan has been asking about the chant. Does anybody want to? It's not something I would say.
I mean, I'm not gonna say the word, but it was basically F. Is basically
I believe it was
Hayes.
FU Mellow.
Mellow. That's it. Yeah.
That was outside of this, I would just say the word, but I just want.
Yeah,
it's a family show.
Thank you, honey. We appreciate that.
So we're a family show.
It's a family show, I think.
Yeah.
And just to piggyback off, I think that this is going to be Carmelo Hayes' best work. It's definitely giving me Ciampa vibes and Adam Cole betrayal vibes and Dakota Kai betrayal vibes. I personally wouldn't have minded if he had just came out at the end. The whole coming out at first and saying "nah, not yet" and leaving and then coming back, I could have done without that. But whatever.
Was that because of the chants though? I feel like it might
have been because of the chants, and maybe because it probably could have been because of the chants, and he probably couldn't control that. And but everybody's gonna listen to. I could just picture HBK in the back, probably going like this, like. Just like, oh shit, he's got a lot of heat. Like, this is good, but we can't be having this. Like,
right.
But Melo, this is gonna be Melo's best work for sure. I love that he pulled the Shawn Michaels play the Heroes music and fake him coming out. I personally knew at first. I was like, oh my god, he's there, and I'm like recording it live on my story. I'm like, oh my god, he's really there? No way. And then I see Melo dancing. I'm like. Well played, Melo. Well played. Very well played. That was very, very, very Shawn Michaels of you in Canada.
Yes.
Very. Because Who's Your Daddy Montreal will forever go down as one of the greatest, most heated receptions in history. But but I also we also have to remember what he did at the very end of NXT. Melo's making enemies now. Melo's had enough. He's making some more enemies. He went at Gacy, who had no part to do with him. He was just trying to go at Dijak. He's just minding his business, his crazy self, being his crazy self, and trying to get some revenge on Dijak, which is granted. But and then he also attacked Dragunov, because clearly we know that Melo has wanted the whole time since Trick was whooping and getting all the spotlight. He wants that belt back. Well, he wants the belt. He wants the title. He wants it, and he might get it. But Ilya is not going to make it easy, because But Ilya's a little hurt. He has been going through some battles. Did he win? No. Well, he had the North American title, I believe. I don't know. Did Melo have the main? He had the main NXT title.
He did. He won that at Stand Deliver last year.
Yeah. So I believe there's definitely a good potential for Stand and Deliver Ilya and Carmelo again, because that's gonna be ridiculous.
I think that Ilya and Melo is going to happen before Stand and Deliver, and then at Stand and Deliver, I think we'll get
We'll get
Melo versus Trick.
Yeah,
that's the one that everybody wants.
That makes me think. I didn't think about this until I've just said it. Melo could beat Ilya, and then Trick beats Melo for the title.
Now that is a thing. I figured they were going to fight anyway, but if you put that title in there,
that would be nice.
Oh, now we're on something. Yeah,
that would be nice.
And then crown him at Stand and Deliver the weekend of WrestleMania 40. That's big. That's huge. Huge.
Oh yeah.
And the ladies too. The ladies are rocking it in there.
That's unusual.
It was a cat fight. Last week. This is gonna be a good
shout out
week
to Sed. I know Sed is somewhere lamenting as we speak.
Oh yeah, Justice.
I'm done. Cut the show. I'm done. Take me off.
I was going to say he poured a 40 for his homies, but wow.
Justice for Vice City.
Justice for Vice City.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But I mean, there it is.
There it is.
We're going into. It seems like it's gonna be a quiet weekend. I think
Might
it's
not be quiet after tonight.
No.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking like PLEs and pay-per-views.
Oh well, yeah.
There's some
Yeah.
stuff, but it seems like it's gonna be a quiet before we start revving up again. So
yeah.
Let's see what happens tonight.
You know.
Yeah.
Oh, did you want to touch on that one thing, Professor, that you said with the promotions, the 2 promotions?
Oh yeah, we can briefly mention that. Two major indie promotions have made a huge announcement as Progress Wrestling, who has done great work in the UK and at one point had a spot on the WWE network, is joining forces with Defy Wrestling out of Seattle, Washington. Now, Defy has brought us some amazing household names now, incredible names like, of course, Swerve Strickland. He was a part of that, as was Darby Allin, John Moxley. Their current world champion at Defy is Kenta. And so now these two are coming together, which I think is going to be absolutely massive for the independent world. And I know, Dazzle, you can speak to Progress. I've been following them. They've been doing great work, but for them to kind of have a US arm in Defy right now and vice versa is incredible.
It's phenomenal because, as you said, they were part of the WWE network, and that's how quite a lot of people kind of got to know them globally. But to see that they're still kind of doing stuff that will keep them in that same space in the US, because Defy have been doing a lot of work with GCW this past like 12 months or so as well. You've seen a lot of crossovers, people going from promotion to promotion. The likes of like a Jordan Oliver, for example, he's been over there a few times. So yeah, man, it's phenomenal, and I think of some of the guys that I know who have been in Progress for a while and kind of made their name there. And there were a few people that not a lot of people know that I can't wait for people to get to know. And the main one is Cara Noir.
Oh yes, wow!
If you don't know about Cara Noir, go and find out about Cara Noir.
Sheesh.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But there are a few
Problem.
others as well. Yeah,
Problem.
Cara Noir. Oh my word, just different, just different. And I'm not even talking about just the in-ring stuff, just the entrance alone.
Yes, that present is yes,
crazy.
It's great. It's great.
But there are so many. There's going to be so many others as well, and I've seen quite a few people kind of like Darius, for example. He was he's in the States at the moment. He was actually at Natty and TJ's dungeon training with them. The other week. He teamed up with Chris Bay as well at one show. I can't remember the promotion, but there's a few other guys. So it's going to be very interesting to see some of these people that I've watched, both live and kind of just watch them come up, finally get, a chance to be noticed on a more global scale as well, than just being great in the UK. So that's going to be amazing.
That's huge.
There it is. I think we can end off like that. We started strong. We're going international with it. So we here. Hey Dazzle, I think it's like Saturday for you now. So
it is 16 minutes into Saturday.
Yes. Let's get you out of here. Thanks for joining. Where can everybody find you?
So good. You can find me, if you don't follow me already, on Black Wrestling Alliance on Instagram. Every now and again, you might see me pop up on Twitter, or X, should I say. That's how long I've not been on there. BWA Dazzle. And also you can find me, as well as Gerard Bonner. TK comes in every now and again, as well as our boy Mex on Tuesdays on the WrestleMania UK YouTube channel for our show Wrestle Extra, which is on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. UK time. Don't ask me to work out the US times, because I just can't remember. You have to find out for yourself. Yeah, that's it.
And Candice, where can everybody find you?
On X, it would be Wrestling Grill, and on Instagram and TikTok, it would be the Ladies Wrestling Grill.
And then also Deep Dive. Definitely go and check out that show. If you want to go deeper into some of these topics, Candice has you covered every other Tuesday. So definitely check out your YouTube page for that. And honey, where can everybody find you?
They can find me here Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays. They can also find me on Instagram, Wrestling with Honey. They can find me on Facebook. I got my Facebook building up now, Wrestling with Honey, and also TikTok. Did I say TikTok? Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. So, and here.
And Teflon G.
You guys can find me.
The omnipresent. The omnipresent.
The omnipresent.
That's hilarious. Oh my God. Well, you guys, of course, can find me at Bonnerfied on all the socials. I just started a new series called
I love
Lit,
it.
which I think you guys will really enjoy. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
It's legends, icons, and trailblazers, really honoring what's been happening in the world of Black history for pro wrestling. So check that out. You can also find out my commentary work on Southern Honor Wrestling and IWE on IWTV, with All Caribbean Wrestling on their YouTube page. And I'll actually be with them tomorrow night for a great show called Say It Loud here in Atlanta. Sonny Kiss is on the show. Caprice Coleman's on the show. Chris Bay is on the show. The Pope, Elijah Burke, is on the show. It's going to be a massive show tomorrow night. My work with the Nightmare Factory, you can check out on YouTube. Just started the relaunch of Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling last night. I'll let you guys know when that is available. That was just insane. Just amazing. Absolutely amazing. And then February 24th, I will be with Ashe Wrestling in Charlotte, North Carolina, which you guys will be able to watch that a live stream as well for that also. So, and I'm here all the time. There I am.
The omnipresent Teflon G.
Happy birthday, MDB999.
Yes, happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Feliz cumpleaños.
Thank you for joining us. Shout out to our unofficial producer, Jeffrey. Shout out to our unofficial producer, Dylan, our informational officer, Bosa, MDB999. Happy birthday again. I saw Eric join the chat. Cousin Ron was in there. So yeah, you always popping. We really appreciate you for, helping to continue making WWT grow. You can follow me on everywhere on everything at TK Trinidad. Definitely rock with WWT. We're going to be having our Black History Month. We're dropping different people every day. So definitely stay tuned for that. There's a couple of folks that it's kind of like, I'm pretty sure everybody knows who they are, but they haven't gotten their flowers. You obviously you have the big ones. If you have the big ones, if you know what we're talking about, you can get them at our merch store. So definitely check that out.
Hey yo, you that's watching this. You sitting on the couch staring at the screen, not knowing what you want to do, like this is an online college. Are you tired of wearing shirts that make you look like an extra stuck in catering? Do you want to step your wrestling swag game up to the next level? Then Women's Wrestling Talk has got you covered. Like literally. Are you for life in pink or black and white? Or maybe you're the EST and people need to respect you accordingly. Want to put some pride in your stride and show off the muscle in your hustle? Then make sure you check out the WWT store. Not now, but right now. All right? What you waiting for? Head to www.talkpodstore.com and don't make me fight you. Shit.
Yeah, so definitely check out our Icons t-shirts with all the top Black women wrestlers on there in Black History Month colors. So definitely check out our store for that. Other than that, you can check out Women's Wrestling Talk on everything at www.talkpod.com, WWTalk on all social media platforms. We have some good stuff coming leading up to WrestleMania, some interviews dropping and all the things. With that being said, thank you guys so much for joining Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Till next time, guys. Ciao.
Hey, y'all, it's Kona.
And I'm Chaos. And you're watching
Women's Wrestling Talk.